Just want to say there's the link. Okay, so there's the link that with these presentations already on the server on that link. So if you don't have the presentation, you wouldn't know where the link is. But if you've got the presentation, you know where to find it. So it's a little bit of a useless piece of information. Okay, cool. So that was the introduction. So what we got in terms of the agenda, I just quickly want to come back. So firstly, as Johan said, I'm going to talk about SAP S/4HANA. What is it? So if a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. So we just want to just put a little bit of statement. If I say we talk about S/4HANA, what is this beast everybody's talking about? Is it something that we need to take care about? Second one is the implementation methodology, the ASAP methodology we've been talking up till now. I'm going to make a few statements about that, and then Johan is going to talk about the SAP Cloud, the relationship between Gijima, Vodacom, and IBM that has been struck a few days ago. All right, so let me do this. Okay, so reality check. I'm going to talk about two things today. A little bit about history, not the boring side of it, a little bit of history, the portion that you hopefully can remember, and that little slide here refers to our SAP ECC6. And I'm going to talk about a bit methodology. We talk about the SAP implementation methodology of ASAP that everybody knows. Thanks, Johan. Rest in peace. This wouldn't live anymore. ASAP methodology, out the door as well. Thanks, Johan. In terms of the history, I do not know if you can read there from the back, but let me read these dates. R3 Enterprise 3 was done in 1995. Then we had 4.7, that was a major release, a very stable one, was 2003. We're sitting in 16, that's 13 years ago. Then ECC6 came, ECC5 came, it was just quickly in and out. But ECC6 came in October 2005. That is 11 years ago. Can you believe that it's so long? I got these from Wikipedia, I hope they're right. And then the last one is the SAP Simple Suite Finance for HANA, the S/4HANA 2015. Anybody knows what the R3 stood for here? R3 was for the 3-tier system. My little laptop, tier 1, the application server, tier 2, and the database server, tier 3. That was the R3. Then they came out and defined this as S4. This 4 is the next 3 in the sequence of R1, R2, R3. This was a 3-tier system, but they broke away. This 4 doesn't mean a 4-tier system. Doesn't mean that. But it means it's the next release sequence in what it is. And the S stands for simple. And I'll touch on the simple portion a little bit later. Thanks, Johan. A little bit of history. When we first had R3, we had the R3 Enterprise. This was a 4.7. Then the NetWeaver came in. Then ECC6 with Enhancement Pack 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gone. Thanks, Johan. What are we talking in terms of the HANA? Now, I just want to... Up till now, everything I've said is history. That is our base in terms of what we know. From now onwards is actually where our presentation really starts. SAP started with an in-memory platform. What is HANA really? HANA is a computer with a huge memory. But what they've done, they've created a database that can live in that memory. Like Oracle and SQL and all those other databases ran off the disks. Now, SAP has gone and built HANA that can use this huge database of this huge amount of memory and can load it into the database. That was done in 2011. That was the start of the breakthrough, but that was not a breakthrough. Then they implemented SAP Business Warehouse on BW, and here was the breakthrough. They've made SAP to run on SAP HANA. So, for example, in our lab on top, we got two HANAs, effectively two versions of HANA. The one HANA is just the database where we ran SAP in memory. It's a fast database, That's not what it's about. The S/4HANA is a total rethink of how SAP is doing that. So up till now, if you talk about SAP on HANA, it's actually just running on the faster in-memory database. But faster is faster, but what does it really bring? Thanks, you're on the next slide. The simplified model that SAP has brought goes about this. This is an example of BSEC that uses BKPF. These are tables, I think they're in logistics. And here, this accounts receivable, finance, sorry about that. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, GL, clearing. So the total FI environment was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tables that actually explained and managed the total finance environment. Now what SAP has gone to say, now I've got this huge, fantastic database that are columnar, very fast. What SAP did in the past when we were on R3, SAP was slow. Stuff was in a database. So what they did, in the relational database, so what they did is they took information, take all this information out of here and pack them into these tables. Every time you save, it will do something in there, save something, put something in there, aggregate it, put it in there. That's why there are so many tables within SAP. When they came with S/4HANA, they said, we think about completely differently about it. We're just going to keep the 2 major tables and all these other tables, zap them. That's the simplification portion of it. So the database has effectively shrunk because these tables doesn't live anymore in S/4HANA. Okay. What is happening with our program now? I've got an ABAP program that takes a little bit out of this and takes a little bit takes a little bit out of this and takes a little bit out of this and give me information. What they were clever enough is they create these, they call it compatibility views, that actually looks like the table, but the table doesn't exist. But because HANA is so fast, the moment you say, I want to use that table, it quickly goes in there, get the data, and put it in that table, and it shows, and you use the program on time, in real time. And that's where the power of HANA lies. So the database has shrunk, they've used the speed of the database itself, and the total process has changed. Now that's the portion of the shrinking of the database. But they put a second dimension on top of HANA. The second dimension is simple finance, you've heard about that, simple logistics. The other simples doesn't exist yet. So what they've done is they've taken simple processes, given us a new UI, user interface. So the gruesome grey SAP screens that we used to work, rest in peace. Fiori is the front end. So it'll mean that our total experience of a SAP S/4HANA in simple logistics is going to be completely different. So when you came in today here and you had a confidence that you understand SAP, understand that we're going to work out here, hopefully you're going to be worried. Because everything is going to change. Okay. There's a process. There's changes. It's not going to jump on you, but I want you to realize we need to wake up that S/4HANA is not just something that is sold somewhere else. This thing is the new release. This is the R3 that has become S4. Okay, this is my story. This is the story about HANA. Thanks. And obviously we'll have more discussions about it, but today was just telling you a little bit about it. Thanks, Johan. Next slide. Now, we're talking about the migration portion of it. I said up front, we used to have ASAP methodology, preparation, blueprint. What do you want? Tell me what you want. I do not agree with you. We have these used things, write these blueprints, these thick packs of documents, please sign them off. In the S/4HANA implementation, they are saying, no, we're not doing that anymore. But they're using a total new methodology. It started, I do not know if you guys have heard about the RDS, the Rapid Deployment Solution implementation. They've adopted that into something called Activate. So ASAP methodology is going to be replaced with the S/4HANA implementations, Activate. So it's a new platform, new S/4HANA with a new methodology on top of it. And it works like this. Currently, and I say currently, there's 3 ways of getting onto S/4HANA. The one is if you do a total new implementation. If If you do a new implementation, you take all your data, and that implementation can come from ECC 6, 4.7, or even a non-SAP database, a non-SAP ERP. And they can be hosted in two worlds. The one is on-premise or in the cloud. And there are tools, and I've got a slide on that I'll unpack this just now. Second portion is to say, I've got a system conversion. So if I'm currently sitting on, let's say, ECC 6, and I want to migrate and use all my history and all my data that lives in my database here today into the new S4 HANA, it will mean that I can go into the migration. But watch, it's not available in the cloud, so it must be on-premise. So there's a total migration services to move from a system conversion from your current ERP system to the on-premise. There are tools for that, and the starting point over here is 4.7 better. Okay, so everything older than that, it actually goes into the new implementation. So, for example, when we did a tender for City of Joburg, they want to upgrade. This is the big thing they're thinking about. Should they take everything they've got with their ISU and everything and do a total re-implementation and manage the migration of the history as a risk? Or should they take the existing system, stick the CDs, and go to the on-premise and go through this implementation? Now, there's pros and cons for both, and it's not for the discussion for now, but just realize this is the kind of things that we need to grapple with. And then the last thing, it's a quite interesting one, called the landscape transformation. We can have an ERP system in the region A, B, or C, and only migrate a certain area. So you can, for example, haven't seen it, been sold, I can move a single company into SAP HANA and run only a certain portion of your business in there and running the other one in here. Okay, next slide, Johan. I'm almost done, guys. I'm going quite fast, I must say. So the new implementation. So it can be non-SAP or SAPs, that can be here. It can go into either on-premise or a cloud solution. The benefits here. Re-engineering and process simplification based on already on tourism business processes, predefined migration objects and best practices, and reduce the time to value, and the rapid adoption of new innovations. Next slide, please, Johan. This is the second one we do, the system conversion. It's the migration without the re-implementation, no disruption for existing purposes, but unfortunately, it's only for the on-premise. You're on the next one. And then the last one is the landscape transformation. It's selective data transformation allows a phased approach, focusing on the parts of the business with highest ROI and TCI. So these are the guys that are scared to go into HANA, but this is not the things I like. This doesn't speak to me. I don't like this. It's either you migrate or you don't. I don't like this piecemeal thing because it's too difficult with the integration. Thanks, Johan. The next one. I'm in the last 3 slides of my presentation. And this goes about the ASAP methodology. I said some things. We've got the 3 starting points, the new implementation or the system conversion or the landscape transformation that needs to go into the cloud and or in. The concept is the following. In the previous implementation, in ASAP methodology, I would ask someone, tell me your business processes. And there would be a duel between the consultant and the business to say, this is SAP's best business practices. And the business would say, but I want to do it like this. And there will be quite conflict. And then eventually there will be a meeting of the minds, hopefully sign off, and then you will have the blueprint documentation. With the ASAP methodology, with a new implementation called Activate, with the new implementation methodology called Activate, it works differently. They're going to give you you're first going to choose your, I can't remember, what do they call it? It's not, it's almost like a structure to say I'm a industry company or I'm a manufacturing company. I do not know what you call those groups. But you would say I want to be a manufacturing company. And then it would give you the best business practices for that will be loaded. A sample company will be loaded on your model company. So when you go into your blueprint, you do not have a blueprint, please tell me what you want. It goes about, this is how SAP does. I've already got some business practices process already running. Let me tell and sell the concept to you. It's more a selling concept, and they talk about a blueprint walkthrough. So you do not create a blueprint from scratch. You actually have a blueprint the day you start, and you have the blueprint walkthrough. And then afterwards, you have the realization. Migration and integration, guided configuration based on these business processes, and then we have the go live. The methodology sitting behind Activate. So the concept is completely different. It's a question of please swallow versus tell me what you want. And it is something that we need to get our head around. You want the second last slide? It goes about this. This is the new ASAP methodology. Wrong word of choice. This is the new methodology that we perceive going to replace the ASAP methodology. Have a discover phase. Tell me what's happening on your system. SAP will give you in the cloud servers that you can log on to actually experience what's happening within the new S/4HANA, the new business processes. Then you have a feedback based on the model company. You scope and configure, but configure minimalistic, not this huge thing. And it's interesting, I've got some example not screen cams, but models on that they've shown us in the training. So that if you say that you only are a manufacturing company, only the configuration items that are applicable to your scope actually is in your configuration. So you already got a limited configuration. You do not have this huge IMD because you actually get lost. So if you do not use sales is not even in your configuration. Migrate, integrate, they use the migration tools, the onboarding, and the typical go-live activities. Last slide, Johan. That's the other one. It is for the conversions from an existing SAP to the new SAP. You've got your experience trial, your technical preparation, because it's a technical upgrade first from your running disks ECC6, technically migrated to the S/4HANA, so you actually need to effectively test and run. So you actually test, do your technical testing, functional conversion, and a cutover. Where the previous one is actually starting from scratch. Let's just meet the minds. With this one is a migration process to say, you already got your business processes, but it looks different. You've got a new UI. Your Fiori is completely different. You do not have the SAP screen anymore. You click on a little tile, and you fill in some things, and things happens completely different, and the processes change. That's my story. So, in this point, things that I've figured out from this that we need to have as a next session. We talk about Fiori, we talk about the new UI. You guys need to get a feeling of this. So I would suggest our next session is just have a demo of a few Fiori scenarios. Sorry. Fiori scenarios that they can get a feel of terms of what it is. The S/4HANA, Johan, thank you. I have set up a S/4HANA system for us up here, and we can have a look at it and say what it is. Okay, so that's my 5 cents worth. Okay, any questions on this before we give Johan a chance to talk about the cloud, which is something that's connected to this, but it's a different discussion with William.
I just want to add something. If you look at that slide and go back 2 slides again, just slowly, and another one. There's a common thread in all of this, and that is Solution Manager. Do not underestimate the importance of Solution Manager. And I encourage you, each and every one, have a look at Solution Manager, what it does, what it is in there. Because that is going to be the way that implementations will happen in the future. It's a common thread where testing doesn't matter if it's installation, testing, everything is going to happen in Solution Manager. So please, on top of that, Solution Manager, as you know, is one of our strategic focus areas. Terry has done some wonderful work with some of you in the team. So it is a strategic focus area for us, so I encourage you to get on top of Solution Manager. Now, questions for Gerrit.
Solution Manager, just to jump on that one, will also run on the HANA database. 7.2, né? Solution Manager version, the new one, 7.2. Will be released in June, we've heard. And also run on Fiori. Also completely different experience of what we had.
Good. Thank you.
Just the last thing.
Yeah, sure.
HANA.
Carry on.
If I speak about HANA, every time I said HANA, it actually means HANA ERP. I didn't say HANA CRM. I didn't say HANA BW. I didn't say HANA Business Objects. Those are different discussions. So those discussions needs to happen because Business Warehouse can also run on HANA. SAP is planning to put CRM, SRM in those products, GRC as well. Solution Manager also on the HANA platforms. But there are some components like, for example, Business Objects. I don't see it being running on the HANA platform first. So there is a mix and match of HANA-enabled solutions versus non-HANA. There will be a hybrid solution for you.
Good, thank you. You've all seen the press releases on IT Web and IT Online and whichever publications and the announcements that was made around the cloud for SAP, of which Gijima is involved in, together with Vodacom. So what I'll briefly do is just to enlighten you a bit on the, excuse me, on the relationship between the parties involved. Then the considerations from the SAP cloud, specifically the services that's been offered to change that, the platforms and the different services that's been offered, the operating system and databases, the presence of where these pods so-called are, the migration methodology. Gerrit touched briefly on that. And then the SAP and IBM strategic alliance globally, and then some other useful information. So first of all, the relationship. In this, our service offering is a Gijima cloud. It's branded as a Gijima cloud. And the parties involved there is obviously IBM, Gijima, and Vodacom. Now, what IBM brings to the party is the so-called cloud managed services, the IC for SAP, which is the IBM cloud for SAP, and then obviously it's global knowledge. I'll elaborate a bit later on what IBM has spent in terms of the development in the solution. Gijima, obviously we bring to the table SAP expertise, our systems integration knowledge. We're a local company and of course 100% BEE. Vodacom brings to the table the data center and the network connectivity. Basically this offering will be operated from 2 data centers, the one just around down the road here from Vodacom, and with a DR site in Roseland, Pretoria. So we must also understand that all these parties have made certain investments. So Gijima is not there because we got it for free or something. With the contribution and the approval of our chairman, Gijima has made a substantial investment in this alliance to bring this offering to the table. I must also state that our cloud offering is, although there's a focus on SAP, it is not only limited to a SAP solution. When we talk about the different models, I will elaborate a bit on that. So that the one cannot basically exist without the other. Vodacom, although they are hosting SAP, I think they host in the region of about 7 SAP clients in their data center, but they do not provide the SAP skills and the support, the application support that we provide. We don't have a data center, we've got the Rust, but we host solutions, small solutions like Simba HR in there. Network connectivity, I mean, it's Vodacom, part of the bigger Vodafone group. The network connectivity speaks for itself. Then IBM, global company, they decided to invest locally to bring that specific cloud managed services to South Africa. So that is so that you can better understand the relationship between the three parties. Now, we all know that the SAP environment, SAP is functional rich, and we can do a lot of things with SAP, but there are certain drawbacks around that. So obviously, SAP is pretty costly to maintain. If we talk about, maybe you can guess, what does it cost a company or organization to maintain their ICT infrastructure and their applications? Can anybody take a guess on that? No. 80% of the ICT costs goes toward maintenance and support of the applications and the infrastructure. So that leaves them 20% for new innovations. And this is what the analyst tells us. So, yes, and they interviewed, I think, 1,500 CIOs. We know that the SAP landscapes are quite complex. We need a high-performing infrastructure. Systems are typically transactional, volumes are very high, so we need high-performance infrastructure. Then obviously the SAP environment needs to be scalable, grow with companies. You saw the new developments around SAP, what is happening. ECC6 is history, the new developments. The next S4 release to come out is for HR and HR. So we've got finance, logistics, and HR. Obviously, core business processes. SAP is the system of records. It's critical. It must be up full time. And then, obviously, SAP skills, like the people around the table here, specialist skills is required to maintain and do innovation around that in the environments. So, what does the CMS or the cloud offering brings to the table? It tells us it helps to improve cost. Normal traditional infrastructure that's costly, it moves from CAPEX to OPEX now because you rent basically the equipment or the infrastructure from your clients, from IBM and Gijima. It helps reduces complexity. There's automation and standardization specific in the managed service environment. Enterprise class infrastructure, we all know the amount of money that IBM spend and the equipment that they provide. Improve scalability. You can scale up or scale out or scale down, obviously with different service levels agreement to that. And then the core business, as we said, it's backed by service-specific service level agreements in terms of infrastructure uptime and maintenance of your environment. And then SAP specialist across all modules, all levels of SAP is being made available through this type of models. So just on the cloud for SAP applications, you see there's two specific. The one is soft layer and the other one is CMS. Now soft layer, if I'm not mistaken, Johan, it purely speaks to the infrastructure layer. And it is also not only necessarily applicable to SAP. The cloud managed service, although it's a more defined and it addresses the operating system and the database up to certain levels. So if we look at the next slide, it's a bit more in detail there. There you will see stuff specifically. Infrastructure as a service up to operating system, and this is where Gijima will play a part from there on top. If we look at it more moving into the platform as a service, it can go up to the database level, including, this was up to operating system, including the database layer, and then services to be provided by the partner. And then obviously, of course, if you look at the services, the full platform as a service, then it includes the middleware and the runtime. And then the application layer is being supported by the Gijimas or whoever they might select. So that, in essence, is the 3 type of models that you can, the service options that is available. Then the operating systems that is being supported currently, AIX, Red Hat, Microsoft for Windows. And then the databases, IBM, Oracle, Sybase, obviously, and HANA, which is important in our lives today. So this is where the points of presence currently, where the IBM services are offered from. What is not here yet, obviously, is now Johannesburg or Pretoria. And what this means, in essence, if we do get a global client, it's quite easily through the network connectivity that we will be able to address a global company now from a perspective. Whether we do it from the local environment here from Vodacom, or out of any one of the European or North America or South America or even Australasia points of presence, we will be able to provide that service to the global organizations. Next one, Gerrit. So obviously, Gerrit touched a bit on the migration of it. There's a formal methodology, and I won't go into the detail, but it's normally your initial engagement, you agree on the model, then you build the model, and you transition that into the points of specific point of presence, and the services are then provided. So if I don't think at this point in time, we obviously, IBM does provide a migration service, but where we play a role is in the preparation of the migration of that service, engaging with the client, get all our ducks in a row for the transition into the IBM environment. So that is where we will play a big role. And then just the global announcement between SAP and IBM. IBM is the certified preferred service provider for SAP for providing the cloud. So it is significant for us in the sense that we have got this relationship locally with IBM and Vodacom for the connectivity. And there's just a copy of the press release. Just some other information, data centers. There's currently the 40 data centers, I think, but that's a bit outdated. There's 45, and the South African one is now the 46th one where Gijima is involved. A worldwide delivery team, follow the sun type of thing. And you can transfer between the data centers worldwide. Production and non-production, your QA and dev can be, for instance, can be in the cloud or and the production system on premise. It's for HANA and non-HANA SAP. It's also SAP and non-SAP workloads that's been supported. I touched a bit on the operating system and the databases, the high-speed backbone, network backbone. In this case, we will use the Vodacom backbone, but not necessarily limited to that. And obviously, IBM is the #1 SAP cloud benchmark. And this is what IBM has developed over the years. They bought SoftLayer. It was a different company, and brought that into the stable. But this is what they have invested, 3.6 billion US dollars in the last 2 years to refine this solution. So that's the story around the SAP Cloud and Gijima and Vodacom's involvement. Are there any questions around that?
Yeah. When can we see tangible results, particularly regarding Gijima contributing in that space?
What currently is, in terms of the agreement, there are certain lists that has been identified by Gijima and IBM and Vodacom of specific target clients. We are currently busy with 4 initiatives with potential clients. Bear in mind that the preparation and the setup of this facility and everything is happening at the moment, and it will be available from October. But as it is with use a simple example, for instance, any client that intends to buy an ERP, it unfortunately takes time. What happens now in this case, there's a transition, there's a journey to the cloud. You cannot, we know what the economic climate is like at the moment, so it's not a case that a CIO gets up in the morning and on his way to work, he decides, I'm going to the cloud now. Unfortunately, it's a journey, it's quite a process. There's business cases that needs to be built, and we are assisting with that to help our clients to make that move. But yes, we are busy with a couple of initiatives. And from our side, Graham Foster is driving the Gijima Cloud initiative. Anything more?
Can I just put this picture
Okay,
in
right.
perspective?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. So you all, just to understand, let's say it gets to a point where there is clients now that come on board. Typically as a hub, what would we provide, the actual SAP?
It depends on, if we go to the different models, just go there to that different layers. Yeah. If you look at this is purely infrastructure as a service. So they provide the tin. That's it. We will still provide our services as we go along, but the application will be on their hardware. So they will do the monitoring in terms of the capacity, but in terms of the, let's call it the so-called basis support, will still reside with us or with the client. And as it progresses on the different, there's a lot of our clients that do not want to get rid of their basis team. Then they feel they are completely out of control of it. So they firstly might move to just as infrastructure as a service. As they grow, maybe, but remember IBM on this layer, IBM doesn't play here, or Vodacom. So this is still where we already had requests for engagement with our partners in this, to engage with them in terms of, because of the let's call it the cloud that we have around providing SAP support services to assist them on that specific layer. So it varies from the different models, how the services will be applied.
So on the first model, so let's say the client wants to go from on-premise to managed operating system in the cloud. What is the benefits case for him at that step? It will be that he doesn't have to maintain the hardware anymore. He doesn't have to have techies to manage the operating systems. He's completely got it, and he's got an IP address that he logs onto. But then he's opened the SAP, he's got a server where he can load SAP. Then it means that some partner still needs to make sure that the basis stuff is done, the application service support and stuff that we do will still be in the first column. Let's take the last one. The client is on premise, he wants to go into the cloud and have a managed SAP environment. So we will give him a box where it runs on, operating system on top of it, and IBM will take the basis responsibility to run that service. So what will happen is we as the guys will do the application as we always do that. That will never go away. So the discussion actually goes about where does the basis guys lie and where doesn't the basis guys lie. And we've even found that in the last one, there are some basis activities that we still need to do even if IBM has managed those environments. Because IBM will make sure that the patches are loaded. But if the patches aren't working and I want to implement a new development and I need to have some work to be done, there will still always be activities. So there is a business case for the client to go to the cloud for every one of these models. But for us, we are like the barracuda that goes around the shop and actually pick up all the services that actually will not be part of this series for SAP.
More questions?
Jan, can I just ask you, South Africa has an inherent bad record for connectivity. So what is Vodacom doing to improve that? Because I'm sure that would be one of the big questions that a client would ask.
Jenny, the thing is that although we are in this relationship with Vodacom, it's not necessarily the true fact that we will use them always for connectivity. If they are, we cannot get away from using the data center. But with the Vodafone backbone, there's been an amount made available for more investment in terms of connectivity. But we, as we said, we are not limited only to Vodacom connectivity. If there's another partner that can provide us connectivity to specific areas where their connectivity is better, then we are able to use them. The thing is that IBM guarantees certain availability. So do we, from our side, guarantee certain service levels. And so will Vodacom. So they need to be synchronized. They need to be synchronized in terms of our service level agreement with the clients. If the one in this chain falls by the wayside, then everybody is open for penalties.
One is a question on the partnership. What happens if we say client X decided to move to the cloud? They're currently supported by, say, the Deloitte or something else. When they come to IBM for this cloud, is there any relationship that we can start supporting them, or they have to go with Deloitte? What's the process?
No, we can provide certain of the services and they can stay with their existing. If they want to stay with the application support with a Deloitte or whoever, they can stay with them. But then the rest of the stuff they need to get from us. Like for instance, that is actually a very good example. Road Accident Fund. Their SAP system is currently hosted at Vodacom. And we're going to support them. And it's only the infrastructure as a service. So yes, those scenarios are there.
I'm sure as people come to grips with the concept, there will be more questions. So as we go on, I'm sure.
Yeah, so there is a multiple of opportunities and or models that can be applied to this. That's it.